Okay, so, we're diving into some really fascinating stuff that you brought to us this time.
Uh-huh.
It's all about like mastering time management.
Yeah.
And I think we can both relate to like, you know, trying to find good advice on this is a whole task in itself.
Absolutely. It's a rabbit hole for sure.
It is, yeah. So today we're going to like cut through all that,
Yeah.
get to the good stuff for you. You guys pull out what's valuable and make sure that you can use this like right away.
Exactly.
Like skip all that extra stuff.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting things that comes out of all these different sources is like this one fundamental idea, right?
Yeah.
Time is finite.
Right.
It's probably our most valuable resource.
Yeah.
And once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
So managing it well is about being intentional,
Right.
not just trying to cram more into your day.
Yeah.
But how do we get the right things done with less friction
Yeah.
and more purpose?
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into the why of all this. The guide that you shared really brings out 5 key benefits, for getting a handle on your time.
Yeah.
Boosting that productivity, dialing down that stress, finding better work-life balance, making like really strong decisions, and then ultimately making some headway on those big long-term goals.
Yeah.
Of the like when you talk to people who, maybe struggle with time management, what do you think resonates the most?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, while all those benefits feed into one another,
Yeah.
I often find that the desire for like less stress and more work-life balance are what really gets people motivated to try and improve.
Yeah.
That sense of being constantly overwhelmed,
Yeah.
always rushing, never having enough time for anything outside of work.
Yeah,
That can be incredibly taxing.
for sure.
So the idea that there is a way to live a more controlled life,
Yeah. Yeah.
less frantic, and where work supports your life instead of dominating it,
Right.
that can be really powerful.
Right. Yeah. I think that makes a ton of sense.
And of course, increased productivity,
Yeah.
comes along for the ride. But it's that sense of calm
Yeah.
and control
Yeah.
that people are looking for at first.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. I think, especially in the world we live in now where it's like you're always connected.
Yeah,
It's so easy to feel like you're always juggling and never quite catching up.
exactly.
And yeah, just the prospect of having like a little bit of breathing room, I
Mm.
think sounds incredibly appealing.
Absolutely.
Now the guide kind of pivots and talks about what's tripping us up, right?
Okay.
It gets into those time-wasting habits that kind of sneak into what we do.
Right.
And it points to procrastination,
Yeah.
multitasking, poor planning, unnecessary meetings and distractions, and good old perfectionism.
Of course.
Do any of those sound familiar?
Oh, absolutely. Those are kind of like the universal hurdles
Yeah.
to effective time management.
Right.
And I think there's almost like a sense of relief in seeing them all laid out because
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not alone in this,
Yeah.
Everybody struggles with these things.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So let's kind of go through these one by one.
Okay.
Procrastination. That's, putting things off to the last minute
Right. Until the deadline
or beyond sometime.
or beyond sometimes. Yeah.
The guide suggests the 2-minute rule.
Oh, yeah.
If it takes less than 2 minutes, just knock it out.
Right.
And then there's this like 5-second rule,
Oh, yeah.
this mental countdown
Yeah.
to kind of overcome that urge to delay.
Yes.
Does that seem like deceptively simple but effective?
I think it is. It's the 2-minute rule is brilliant for like those small tasks that can quickly, pile up
Yeah.
into this huge backlog
Yeah.
and cause a lot of mental clutter, right?
Yeah.
The 5-second rule is great because it helps you to interrupt that
Yeah.
procrastination reflex
Right.
in the moment. It's like that quick mental reset to get you moving before the resistance builds.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so then we get to multitasking.
Yeah.
Which the guide actually says reduces efficiency by as much as 40%.
It's crazy.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And the antidote to that is single tasking.
Yes.
Just like focusing on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
It feels counterintuitive in like our busy world, but
It does.
Yeah.
But, the research really shows
Yeah.
that focusing on one thing at a time is more effective.
okay. So why is that? Do we know?
Well, our brains aren't really designed to handle multiple complex tasks at the same time.
Okay.
So what we end up doing is rapidly switching between them.
Right.
And that context switching takes a lot of energy.
Oh.
And it also increases the likelihood that we're going to make mistakes.
Oh, wow. So it's less efficient and more error prone.
Exactly. So it's better to focus on one thing, do it really well, and then move on to the next thing.
That makes sense. Okay, so the next one is poor planning. And the guide is suggesting we spend just 10 minutes every evening planning the next day.
Yeah.
It seems almost too easy.
It does seem that way.
But could it be that powerful?
You know, it's funny because I think sometimes the most profound changes come from those small, consistent efforts.
Yeah.
And that 10 minutes is really about giving yourself a roadmap for the day ahead.
Right.
So you start with clarity, knowing exactly what needs your attention.
Instead of just like...
Yeah, instead of just kind of like wandering through your day, reacting to whatever pops up.
Yeah, just putting out fires.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And then this one, I think we can all relate to unnecessary meetings and distractions.
Also, tell me about it.
Right. Like, so the advice here is to like actively set do not disturb modes.
Yes.
And to push for, really clear agendas for meetings.
Absolutely.
It's about like protecting your time.
It's about taking control of your focus time. Because, meetings without a clear objective can be a huge waste of time.
Oh, for sure.
So if you ask for an agenda, then you can decide, do I really need to be at this meeting?
Right.
Is this actually going to be valuable?
Right. And it might be that it could have just been an email.
Exactly. And then of course we have all these notifications.
Oh my gosh.
On our phones and our computers that are constantly vying for our attention.
Yes.
And they fragment our focus.
Yeah.
They pull us away from the work that we're trying to do.
For sure.
So we have to be proactive about managing those distractions.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And then we get to that that last one, perfectionism.
Oh yeah.
The urge to make it flawless.
Right.
And this is where the guide brings in the 80-20 rule,
right.
reminding us that 20% of the effort gets us 80% of the outcome.
A lot of times, yeah.
So knowing when good enough is actually good enough can save us a lot of time.
Absolutely. It's a tough one, though.
Yeah.
Especially for people who are, high achievers.
Right.
Who really, want to strive for the best. But we have to recognize when we're getting into those diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Right? So is that extra little bit of effort really going to make a difference? Or is it just a way of avoiding moving on to the next task?
Yeah. It's like we're afraid to ship it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 80-20 rule really helps you to think about, where is my energy best spent?
Right.
What are the things that are going to have the biggest impact?
I think that's such a powerful thing to consider for all of us.
Yeah.
So as you're listening, think about which of those habits are maybe sneaking into your life.
Right.
Because I think that's the first step to making a change.
Absolutely. Awareness is key.
Now, the guide doesn't just point out problems.
No.
It gives us like a whole set of tools.
A toolkit.
Yeah, a toolkit to fight back with. And I think these are like proven time management techniques.
Yeah.
So let's get into those.
Yeah, let's talk about solutions.
Yeah, we've talked about the why and the what not to do.
Right.
Now let's get into the how.
Exactly. How do we actually do this?
So there's 6 key techniques here.
Okay.
And it starts with the Eisenhower matrix.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
Can you kind of walk us through that one?
Yeah, so the Eisenhower matrix is a great way to categorize your tasks based on how urgent they are and how important they are.
Okay.
And so it creates these 4 quadrants.
Right.
So you've got things that are urgent and important.
Yeah.
Those are the things that you've got to do now.
Like right now.
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you've got things that are important but not urgent.
Okay.
Those are the things that you want to schedule for later.
Okay.
So you don't want to neglect them, but you don't have to do them right this second.
Got it.
And then you've got things that are urgent but not important.
Okay.
And these are often distractions that we get pulled into.
Yeah.
And if possible, you want to delegate those.
Okay.
Get somebody else to do them.
Got it.
And then finally, the things that are neither urgent nor important.
Yeah.
Those are the things that you just want to eliminate.
Get them out of there.
Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time on those.
I love how visual that is.
Yeah.
It's like you can really easily see.
Yeah. It's a great way to prioritize.
Okay. So what's a common pitfall you see people running into with this?
Yeah. I think a common mistake is mistaking something urgent for something important.
Oh.
Right. So we get caught up in putting out fires.
Right.
Doing all these urgent things.
Yeah.
But we neglect those tasks that are really going to move us towards our long-term goals.
Right, because those are important, but not necessarily urgent.
It is.
So we keep putting them off.
Yeah, we keep pushing them to the back burner.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so the next one is the Pomodoro technique.
Oh, yeah, I love this one.
And this is all about working in like really focused bursts.
Yeah.
25 minutes.
25 minutes.
And then taking a 5-minute break.
A little break, yeah.
And then after 4 of these cycles, you take a longer 15 to 30-minute break.
Yeah. It's amazing how effective that can be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like those breaks really help
They do.
to stay focused and prevent burnout.
Yeah, I think the Pomodoro technique is so powerful because it's simple
Yeah.
and it helps you to break down these big tasks
Yeah.
into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Right.
And those regular breaks are so important for staying fresh mentally
Yeah.
and not getting overwhelmed.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so then we have time blocking,
Yeah.
which is all about scheduling certain times in your day
Right.
for specific tasks.
Yeah.
So like 9 to 10 a.m., you're doing emails,
Yeah.
10 to 12, you're working on a project,
Right.
and so on. It's like making appointments with yourself.
It is. It's putting those tasks on your calendar.
I think that's so smart.
Yeah, and I think it also forces you to really look at how much time you're spending on things
Oh, yeah.
because you're making that commitment visually.
Yeah.
And it also helps you to avoid overscheduling
Right.
because you can see like, okay, I don't have time to cram another thing in here.
I've only got so many blocks in the day.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we talked about the 80-20 rule earlier.
We did.
But I think it bears repeating because it's such a core principle of time management.
Yeah.
It's about really looking at, what are those 20% of activities that are giving me 80% of the results?
Right.
And how can I do more of those?
Exactly. Focus on the things that really matter.
Do you think it's easy to identify that 20%?
It's not always easy.
No.
Sometimes it takes some real self-reflection
Yeah.
to figure out, where are my efforts actually yielding the biggest results?
But that seems like such a worthy exercise to go through.
Oh, absolutely. It's crucial because it's about shifting from being busy to being effective.
Oh, I love that.
It's not just about doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's about doing the right stuff.
Yeah.
Doing the right stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the 2-minute rule comes back.
It does.
This time as part of the getting things done method.
CTD method.
And the idea is still, if you can do it in 2 minutes, just do it.
Yeah, knock it out.
Don't let it pile up.
Don't let it become this big thing in your mind.
Yeah, it's like that mental clutter again.
Exactly. It's amazing how many small tasks we put off.
Yeah.
They could be handled so quickly.
Right. And then it takes us longer to remember to do it. And
Exactly. And then it just weighs on you.
yes.
It's like this little thing that's just nagging at you.
I think that's so true. Okay, so then the last one, this one's got a really memorable name.
It does.
Eat that frog.
Eat that frog.
I love it.
Yeah.
And this is all about tackling your toughest task first thing in the morning.
Yes. Get it out of the way.
Like while you still have the energy.
Exactly. Because once that frog is gone,
Yeah.
the rest of your day feels so much easier.
Right. You're like, I already did the hard thing.
You've got momentum.
You're ready to go.
Okay, so do you think this is a good one for people who struggle with procrastination?
I think it can be really powerful for procrastination
Okay.
because it's about confronting that thing that you're dreading.
Yeah.
And often you'll find that it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be.
Right.
And then you've got this sense of accomplishment.
You're like, okay, I can do this.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. So we've got like a really diverse set of strategies here.
We do.
From like really big picture things to really specific tactics.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of it is there's something in here for everyone.
There is. There's something for every style.
Yeah. And you might like one better than the other.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next thing the guide gets into is how technology can actually help us with all this.
Yes. Technology can be a great tool
Yeah.
for time management.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that it's a tool.
Right.
It's not a magic solution.
It's not going to do it for us.
It's not going to do it for us. We still have to put in the effort.
Right. Okay, so what are some of the categories that the guide points to?
Yeah, well, first of all, we've got digital calendars.
Yes.
Things like Google Calendar and Outlook.
Mm-hmm.
These are indispensable for scheduling appointments.
Yeah.
Setting reminders, keeping track of everything.
Yeah, and like syncing across all your devices.
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
you're always on top of things.
That's so important because otherwise I feel like you're always like, where is that thing?
Exactly.
Did I write it down?
Yeah. Where did it put that?
Yeah, exactly. And I think beyond just like, scheduling meetings,
Yeah.
using those reminder features can be really, really helpful
Oh,
to
absolutely.
like prompt you for deadlines and
Yeah.
give you time to prepare.
Yes.
Okay, so then there's task management tools.
Yes.
Like Todoist, Trello, Asana.
Yeah, these are great.
These go beyond just like a to-do list.
They do. They let you organize everything.
Yeah.
Set deadlines, prioritize.
You can even collaborate with other people. Yeah.
So if you're working on a project with a team,
Yeah.
you can all stay on the same page.
Which is so important.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's these focus apps.
Yes.
For people like me who get distracted very easily.
Yeah.
And these are things like Forest Focus at Will Freedom.
Right.
And these are all about like blocking out those distractions,
Yeah.
whether it's blocking certain websites or silencing notifications.
Yeah.
Some of them even like gamify it,
They do. Yeah.
which I kind of love.
Yeah. Makes it more fun.
Right? Like, oh, I want to keep my tree alive.
Exactly.
So these seem like they could be really good for like deep work.
Yeah. For when you really need to focus
Yes.
and eliminate all those distractions.
I need to try some of these.
You should. They're really helpful.
Okay. And then we shouldn't forget about note-taking apps.
Oh, yes.
Like Notion, Evernote, OneNote.
These are essential
Yeah.
for staying organized.
Yeah.
Having all your ideas and your plans and your notes in one place.
Yeah, it's like that central hub.
It is. It's like an extension of your brain
Yeah.
where you can store everything and find it easily.
And not be like searching through a million different notebooks.
So yeah, no more piles of paper.
Okay, and then finally there are time tracking tools.
Yes.
Like Toggle Rescue Time Clockify.
These are really interesting
Yeah.
because they help you to see exactly where your time is going,
Yeah.
which can be really eye-opening.
Yeah, because I think sometimes we think we know,
We think we know,
but we don't really.
but then we track it and we're like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm spending way too much time on this.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was taking up so much of my day.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like almost like an audit of your time.
It is. It's like a time audit.
Okay, so we've got all these tools,
Yeah, a lot of options.
but I think the guide makes a really good point that, these are just aids.
They are.
They're not going to magically solve everything.
They're not a quick fix.
No, you still have to put in the work.
You do. You have to be intentional.
Yeah. And you might have to experiment to find what works for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we're all different.
We are.
Okay, so mastering time management isn't just about adopting these techniques.
All right.
It's about building habits
Yes.
for the long term.
It's about consistency.
Consistency, that's the key word.
That's the key.
So what are some of the things that the guide suggests to help us stay consistent?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think it's important to review your week regularly.
Okay.
Maybe at the end of the week or the beginning of the next week,
Okay.
just to see what worked.
Like a little check-in.
A little check-in,
Yeah.
see what went well, what didn't go so well.
Okay, so not just like setting a plan and sticking to it no matter what.
No, it's about being flexible
Yeah.
and adjusting as needed.
So you're always learning.
Always learning, always improving.
Yeah. And I think that makes it less overwhelming
It does.
because you're not trying to be perfect right away.
Exactly.
Okay, so the second strategy is all about setting realistic goals. Because I think, sometimes we try to change everything at once.
Yeah, we get overzealous
And then we get overwhelmed and we quit.
and we burn out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's better to start small,
Okay.
make gradual changes.
So like one thing at a time.
One thing at a time, build up that discipline over time.
Yeah, that makes sense. The guide also talks about accountability systems,
Yes.
whether it's sharing your goals with someone
Yeah.
or joining a group.
Yeah. Or working with a coach.
Yeah, like having that external support.
Having that support system can be really helpful.
That's so important.
Yeah. Because it keeps you motivated.
Yeah, and it's someone to celebrate with.
Exactly.
Yeah. The guide also suggests rewarding yourself,
Oh, yes.
which I love.
It's important to celebrate those wins,
Yes, like even small wins.
even small wins,
Yeah.
because it reinforces that positive behavior.
Yes.
And it makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm doing this for a reason.
Exactly.
And I'm getting some positive feedback from it.
You're making progress.
Yeah. And then this last one I think is a really hard one for a lot of people.
It is.
Learning to say no.
Yeah.
Because we want to do everything right.
We do. We want to be helpful.
We want to be helpful. We want to please people.
We want to be liked.
Yeah.
But sometimes we have to say no
Right.
in order to protect our time.
So how do you suggest people get better at saying no?
Well, I think it's about recognizing your own capacity.
Okay. Yeah.
How much can you realistically handle?
Yeah.
And then prioritizing.
Yeah. So you know what you can say yes to.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it seems like, establishing these habits, it's a journey.
It is.
It's not something that happens overnight.
It takes time and effort.
And it's about being patient with yourself.
Absolutely.
Because there are going to be days when you slip up.
There will be.
You're not always going to be perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah. So it's okay to like make mistakes and learn from them.
Exactly. And just get back on track.
Back on track. So this has been like such a great deep dive into the world of time management.
Yeah.
We've talked about the why.
The why.
The what not to do.
The how.
The how.
The tools.
The habits. Like we've covered it all.
We have.
And it seems like, the core message is really to work smarter.
Yeah.
Not harder.
Exactly.
Reduce that stress.
Yeah.
And make time for what matters.
Create that space in your life.
Yeah.
For the things that are important to you.
Yeah. So as you're thinking about all of this, here's a thought.
Okay.
We've talked about managing time.
Right.
But how does that connect to managing your energy?
Oh, that's a good point.
And your attention?
Yeah, those are all intertwined.
Yeah.
You can't really have one without the other.
Right. So maybe that's something to think about.
Yeah.
And as you're thinking about that, we'd love to know what resonated with you.
Yeah.
What's one time management technique that you're feeling inspired to try this week?
Let us know.